The Torah portion is Bahar. Also, this Shabbat, you just get me because the cantor's in Texas. So we're going to go.
My ex is in Texas.
Hashem Allah.
In the B.
I can't bang on the thing like he does. Sweetie, you gotta bang. You gotta bang out the skirt.
That's not what I like to bang.
Oh, God.
Okay, keep it moving.
Quick, talk about the Torah portion.
I would never daven in a shul that would have me as their rabbi. Okay. The Torah portion, this is known as waiting for the sneeze. Sorry. Okay, the Torah portion is Bahar. And to tell you the truth, not a heck of a lot happens in Bahar. So I thought I would tell you about the Torah portion, then I thought I would tell you a story. And I punched in Bahar stories online. And hi, I'm Rabbi Mark. How are you? I come with the building. Okay. Anyway, I punched in Bahar stories, and some came up, and I told my ever-loving wife a couple of them, and she said, those are really awful. So there was one about a rabbi who goes to Israel in 1939, and he leaves his luggage on the dock. See, I'm not going to fall into that, okay? It's an okay story.
You're not going to finish the story?
No, what I have is, I have a story, and then I have a moral dilemma, okay? So I'm going to do Bahar, then I'll do the moral dilemma. It involves a taxi. Does everybody know what a taxi is? That's what we had before Uber, okay? All right, and in a taxi you would sit there and watch the meter go click, 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 click.
Yeah.
All right. Here we are on the mountain of Sinai, and if you've been to Mount Sinai, and there are probably a dozen different mountains in the Sinai Peninsula, which may or may not be Mount Sinai. The most popular one is a very Jewish mountain. You don't need pitons, you don't need boots, you don't need a mountain climber's axe or pick or whatever it is they use, because there's a monastery at the base called the Monastery of Santa Caterina. I davened there several times, and it's Catholic. Anyway,
yeah, I got it.
So, but you didn't tell everybody else.
Well, you know.
Okay. All right. But the monks have been there for so many centuries. How many centuries? I don't know how many centuries they've been there. That they had time to carve steps in the stone, and you can walk up Mount Sinai just as though you're going to the 6th floor in Macy's. Okay, so it's quite an adventure. Anyway, God says to Moses, I got more stuff. Write this down. It's amazing how much stuff you can get on a pair of stone tablets when you really work at it. Unless he had the parchment and the ink and so on. Okay, the laws of the sabbatical year. Now don't forget, we're talking about a society in which there is no social welfare because Franklin Roosevelt has not yet been born. So the Jews are kind of on, what does it say on that shirt? I'll come over myself.
Shirt doesn't say anything.
Whoa, you got to wash that separately.
What does it say?
That is God's
Take the letters
holiest
off?
name. That is the Tetragrammaton. The 4-letter name of God. We usually pronounce it Adonai, but there are some people who pronounce it like a Y and an H and a W and an H. I don't say it the way it's said because that's the only Orthodox taboo I still observe. But that's who's on top of the mountain.
And depending
I'm
upon
very
where
safe.
he wears it, which I told him, he might as well just put that little target bullet thing on his chest.
That
Well,
could
that's
be on
why,
the back.
you see, he didn't
Sherry,
buy
that
the
could go on the
accessory.
back.
The accessory is a window shade.
Or a bulletproof vest.
Right, you
No,
just
the
pull it
accessory
down
is
if you're in that kind of
bulletproof vest.
environment.
45 automatic.
All right, so every 7th year you've got something called the Shemitah year.
Yeah.
Okay, we all know the Shemitah year. Do they have that in Massachusetts? I wouldn't be surprised with the Puritans. Okay, but anyway, every 7th year what happens is that any loans which you've made are forgiven. So there was a problem. Rabbi Hillel, this is not Rabbi Hillel the Great, who did what is hateful to yourself, do not do to others. This is Rabbi Hillel II. I don't know if it was a son or a nephew. It's a great name, Hillel. There are a lot of Hebrew day schools named Hillel. Anyway, Rabbi Hillel said, hey, if we're forgiving everybody's loan, then in the 6th year, before the sabbatical year, nobody's going to make loans. The rich people are going to withhold their money. Deutsche Bank will not extend any credit, and the poor will starve. So Rabbi Hillel says, no sweat. See, not for nothing, he said. Am I a great rabbi, the nephew or son or whatever of another great rabbi? He says, we're going to have what they call a pruzbul. Let's all say that. Pruzbul. Pruzbul. That is actually a Greek word that became Hebrew. When it was Greek, it was pronounced pruzbul. So anyway, I don't know Greek. All I know is falafel. That's it. So he says the pruzbul is a Talmudic attachment to a Torah law that says you can make a loan in the 6th year, and when the 7th year comes, the what do we call the loanee? The person who receives the loan.
Poor person.
Debtor. Thank you. The debtor. This is why we have to sprinkle attorneys throughout the crowd. What?
The borrower.
The what?
Borrower.
Borrower. Okay,
As
good.
opposed to
That's
the
good. That'll
borrowee.
work too. The borrower does have to pay it back. Okay, and all over Israel, a lot of borrowers breathed a sigh of relief, except one who said, "No, I have to pay back Deutsche Bank." Okay. Anyway,
Well,
let's
listen,
see.
let me ask you this.
Yes.
The person that borrowed the loan in the 6th year.
Yes.
The 7th year is only the first year for that person.
Okay. Well, I don't do math, so you're right. Okay. Anybody else want to comment? That's very good, Toby.
I just want to know how to borrow
Is
the
the
money.
seventh
Yes.
year a year of forgiveness of loans? I mean, it's
Okay, the
specified.
7th year is the year in which everything stops. You're not allowed to farm. All indentured servants, all Hebrew indentured servants go free. Canaanite indentured servants, forget it, they serve forever. But everything kind of turns off. And now in modern Israel, the Haredim, the ultra-Orthodox, who do not recognize the state of Israel, where do they get their produce and vegetables from in the 7th year? Jordan.
They produce their own?
The Jordanians have farmers, yes. No, the ultras don't have, the ultras do not farm. The ultras sit on their whatevers and study Talmud. Yes, question, anybody? Okay, that was exciting.
What about the Jubilee?
Wait, Liz has a question.
That's 7 years of 7, that's 49, 50, whatever. We're coming up, we're not coming up yet, but we're
But
still in the midst of
when
the
we
omen.
started back in this thing, back in the
Early days.
with the early days with the stone tablets.
Yes, they still had fins on the Pontiacs. What? Stone tablets, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, Renee. Yes, this did start a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay, now I get to tell this is my little conundrum that I'm going to share with you involving a taxi, okay? This is give me a Jewish surname.
Harry.
No, that's a front name, I want a back name.
Harris.
Harry Steinberg. Harry Steinberg, thank you. Harry Steinberg and his family are in a big hurry. But the Torah portion, the reason this is attached to Bahar is because when you get a service, when you have workmen who do a job for you, you've got to pay them as soon as they've completed the job. You can't say, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today, okay? You've really got to pay them. So in this instance, what we have is the Steinberg family is in a big hurry. They are 6 people. It's a very rainy day. They have to get across Central Park. I could never get across Central Park because you know the transverse, the road that goes through Central Park, they kept moving it.
They did.
Yes, I could never find it twice in the same day. Anyway, so they have to go somewhere and they're anxiously waiting for a cab to pick them up. And there's certain parts of the city where you can get a cab easily and other parts where you can't. And of course, if you're staying in the St. Regis, the nice doorman with the long blue coat and the brass buttons and the hat will flag it down for you. And the story is told about Robert Benchley, the great theater critic and humorous writer, that he rolled away from the Algonquin Hotel one evening and went up to the man at the front door and said, hey, you there, he said, call me a taxi. And the man got very offended and drew himself up to his full height and said, "Sir, I'll have you know that I am a full admiral in the United States Navy." And Benchley doesn't blink an eye. He says, "All right then, call me a battleship." All right. So the cab stops, and the driver looks at all 6 people. Can a New York City cab, not a
No.
checker, they don't have checkers
No.
anymore. Can
No.
it take 6 people?
No.
Well, what if you got 1 in the front, and now you got 5 in the back? 5 in the back. You put 5 people in the back.
They're really skinny.
There are jump seats, you can.
They had jumps in a checkered cab. We're talking about a modern.
Yeah, but you could use a lap.
I don't think that's legal.
It's
They-
not
I
legal.
was just gonna say, I don't think it's
Well,
legal.
it isn't legal.
Well,
It
the,
isn't
I
legal.
know
it's not legal, but Mr. Steinberg says, "Hey, no sweat. We're in a big hurry. If a cop pulls you over and gives you a ticket for too many people in the cab, I will pay the fine." And the cabbie says, "Okay." And he says, he's driving along. The taxi cab driver is speeding. He's speeding. And a cop flags him down and says, "You were speeding. I'm going to give you a ticket." And then he looks in the cab and he beholds the members of the Steinberg family, which are many and legion. And he says, "Whoa," he says, "I'm going to give you another ticket for having too many people in the car." All right? And the cabbie says, "Well, Mr. Steinberg," since they've gotten very friendly by this time, he says, "You said you would pay the ticket. Now there is not 1, but 2 tickets to pay. 1 for speeding, you said you'd pay that one, and 1 for the overcrowded cab. So, what is it?" And Steinberg goes, "Hey, I told you I'd pay the ticket for the overcrowded cab. I didn't tell you I'd pay for the one you got if you were speeding. So, who's right, and how do you solve this dilemma?"
Steinberg, he made it, they a contract.
Jason, what's the answer?
Contract was over amount of people, speeding is taxi
So wait, so who,
Speeding is the taxi driver's fault. Why was he speeding?
but they said they were in a hurry.
Didn't tell him to speed.
He should
Yeah,
still
but-
obey
How
the
can you
law.
get somewhere if you're in a hurry and you don't speed? Jason?
I would say that the Steinbergs are responsible because they implicitly urged the taxi driver to speed, and they said they would be responsible for what happened during the cab ride. They took
Very nice.
responsibility.
Very nice.
I'm
I
a lawyer.
respect that because my dear friend Jason is not only an attorney at law, he is able to use words like implicitly. Okay? Yes, yes.
I'm going to take the other side and say,
Hey, Donna.
had he not been speeding, he wouldn't have been stopped, and therefore he wouldn't have gotten the ticket for the
Well, the first
overcrowded.
one.
So in
But-
fact, he's the, maybe he has a case to say he doesn't pay either one.
I'm sorry?
He doesn't pay either one.
Neither of them?
No, because he
He's
was only
speeding.
stopped because he was speeding.
Gadzooks.
But I would say he wasn't implicitly urged to do that.
What?
But
I'm
that's just
sorry?
how-
Donna, what?
That he wasn't implicitly urged to speed. If you say that, then he took it upon himself to go over
Oh,
all
I
of it.
see. So
And
he
the-
shouldn't pay the overcrowding thing
No,
either?
because they wouldn't have gotten that ticket had the driver not been speeding.
Right.
Oh, I see. That's a
If
very
you're doing
interesting
something
point.
illegal,
Yes.
it's like if you're carrying drugs over the border, you wouldn't be
Yes,
racing
tell me
it
more about
at
that.
80, at 80 miles
Talking
an
about baby
hour.
aspirin? Yes.
Exactly, you wouldn't be
Okay.
driving at 80 miles an hour to draw attention. So that's what he was doing.
So
Oh, there
he,
should be
so,
a mention
wait, who's
split it.
responsible for what?
Steinberg is responsible for the overcrowdedness, and the cab driver is responsible for the
Bravo.
speeding.
Okay, that's a good
I
compromise.
just said
There
it should
should
be
be
a
a
mention.
mention.
Wait, one at a
split it.
time. What,
It should
Renee?
be a mention.
Wait, Renee
It's
first.
the same
Renee told
thing,
me.
she
Same
should be
thing.
a mention,
Oh.
split it.
Oh, so you pay this ticket and I'll pay that ticket?
Yeah.
It's rough being a cabbie, I'll tell you. I had a friend, Zelig Orenstein, you know him, tall guy? He drove a cab for a while,
Right here,
and
Florida.
he was really no good at it when he was backing up the cab, which I've never seen a cab backing up anywhere, okay? He managed to get both wheels on the curb. That was quite a thing with old Zelig. All right, do we have time for the story?
Was there a real end to the story?
Yeah, well, I'm not telling the one
Because
about the
Amy-
guy who left his baggage on the dock.
Oh, please.
Okay, I got a Sukkot story about cheese, but really,
But it's not Sukkot.
it's not,
Is there
it's
an
not,
answer to
it's,
this?
I'm sorry, what?
Is there an answer to this?
Oh, no.
It was the
No one's
moral.
No, it's just like the Talmud. There is no end,
Oh, okay.
really. But what do you think, Paul?
I don't know.
That narrows it down.
I think they should have given the cop, $20 and
I
No tickets.
There you go, spoken like a true New Yorker.
Is there
Okay.
gonna be a test on this after?
Yes, this will be on the final, there'll be essay questions as
get a
well as
midterm.
multiple choice. What,
Don't
Toby?
we ever get a midterm?
I can do it if you want, I'll give you either
You
English
weren't-
comp one.
You weren't here last Friday night, nobody had
Want
any
the
answers.
reading list?
Yeah. All right, now this is the issue of, okay, your soul comes down to earth. Your soul, this is your neshama. This is not your nefesh. We've talked about this. The nefesh is the animal soul. The nefesh is what gets you up in the morning, do your business, brush your teeth, floss, all that stuff. Okay.
I thought you said it was the animal soul.
Yes, I call it the animal soul because everybody has one, including people without culture.
Culture?
Okay. All right.
You like that culture?
Culture, yeah. Okay, but the neshama is the eternal soul. God is the ocean, the neshama is the wave. And the neshama is what raises you up, what raises up your spirit. And if I turned around, the candles were burning, which they're not yet, okay? The neshama reaches up to God the way a candle flame reaches up to heaven. But can it reach God? Can it be reunited with God? No, because it's anchored to the wick. Okay? Similarly, we human beings have the potential for being extremely spiritual, but at the same time, we are earthy. This was elucidated by Monty Python when he referred to the space above your waist as, well, I don't know what he said. The space below your waist is the naughty bits. Okay? All right. So, the naughty bits.
We'll tell you later.
Yes.
What's the second one? She has it, but what's the word? What's
Naughty.
No,
Naughty.
the one after that.
Bits.
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 B-I-T-S.
The ITS, okay.
Am I loud enough? I'm never.
No.
I'm loud. I mean, I know I'm loud enough. Is
You're
this
not
loud
even-
enough?
You're not
It's a language barrier.
Strangers.
Oh, God.
You know, in a room this size, I never thought I would have to pick up the mic. Okay, all right. Okay, return with me, if you will, to many, many years ago, before Uber, before nuclear physics, before little red things that record you. And we are a wealthy businessman and a balagula. The balagula is the wagon driver. The balagula is the one that the wealthy businessman, not a rabbi, hires to take him from point A to point B. And on this particular occasion, they're going from Minsk to Pinsk, because if you've never spent Shabbat in Minsk, you haven't really lived. And they're riding along, and they go, the rich man goes to the Pinsk 5-star Sheraton, and the balagula goes to the Best Western. Okay. Now they both wash and dress for Shabbat, and they are off to the temple for their prayers. But on his way, because apparently they're walking separately, the rich man comes upon a wagon which is overturned in a ditch, and it is stuck in the mud. And those of you who have helped to pull a wagon out of mud are certainly aware of what a challenge that is. Without thinking twice, the rich man runs over to the ditch and begins to yank at the wagon wheel. Is the rich man accustomed to pulling wagons out of ditches?
No, probably not.
So he's pulling and pulling. He gets scratched by the wood and the brass of the fittings, and he pulls his shoulder. It's really very sad, and he's totally useless. Plus, he never gets to go to shul for Shabbos. In the meantime, the balagula, with his 20 years of experience in driving wagons, goes to the shul, and there he sees a group of resident paupers. Now, it was customary back in the day, if you found paupers in your synagogue, to invite them to your Shabbos meal. And without hesitating, the balagula, the wagon driver, invites all of the paupers. How many paupers?
7.
That's it?
14.
14 paupers, thank you. Thank you, Liz. 14 plus 7, see, I can do that. 21 paupers, so many paupers, and he invites them. Meantime, it was the custom back in the day for the shamus, for the sexton, to arrange for meals for the various paupers during Shabbat. And the shamus goes up to each pauper and says, you need a place to get a meal? And the pauper says, no thank you, that nice wagon driver over in the corner has invited me. Meantime, out by the wagon, what is the rich guy doing? He's muddy, he ruins his Shabbos clothing, especially the Countess Mara tie, which he had worn for the occasion. The paupers come to the corner of the shul after the service. Do they get enough food to fill their stomachs?
No.
No. So,
Why?
why? Because it's just a balagula. He's got maybe a sandwich and a handful of peanuts,
Everybody
which
got
he
peanuts.
got from a plane. All right.
Then he shouldn't have offered, because they would have had a bigger meal from somebody else.
Very good. And that was the mashal, that was the proverb, this is the nimshal, this is the moral. You gotta do, everybody is sent into this world with a specific mission. Your neshama is polished up and inserted into your body from the moment that you are born. Do not think that you can perform anything except this mission, because just as the Balagula was out of his depth by inviting the 21 paupers to share his Shabbat meal when all he had was a sandwich and a handful of peanuts. But what about the rich man? Could the rich man have paid for the meals for the paupers?
Yeah.
But was he in a position to buy pauper meals?
Why?
Never
What
got
was he
to
doing?
Temple.
What was the rich man
He was still
doing?
trying to get the wagon out of the
Still
mud.
trying to schlep the wagon out of the ditch. I know another wagon in the ditch story. It's amazing how many wagons and
What a
ditches
story.
stories there are in Judaism. Okay? This is not my story, Renee.
No.
This is Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak of Lubavitch. And this is way before they had paid entertainment or television sets. And the stories were the only entertainment that they had.
I wouldn't think you would tell a story like that.
What story should I tell? A rabbi, a priest, and a
I
minister?
want to know the moral of the story.
The moral of the story is don't try to do something that your soul is not designed for.
It's really your pocket.
No, I don't. I also think. Well, these guys had the right intention.
But we're encouraged to do mitzvot all the time, whether it's our mission for that particular mitzvah or not.
How come at no point in your previous life did you join Mother Teresa and go off to Calcutta to work with the poor people?
Why?
Yes.
You asked me why?
Yes, that's a good intention. You see, I'm talking about between the intention and the accomplishment is a very wide gulf. Did I answer the question?
More or less.
Sort of.
Your mission, you know what your mission is, okay?
How?
Because you perform your mission every day. But there are people who try, they reach too high, and they end up falling. Yes, Paul?
The rich man could have done both. He could have helped the Balagusta, and he could have provided meals for the 21 paupers. But the Balagusta was very limited. He could only do one thing or the other.
That's the moral.
Oh.
But that means we shouldn't strive
Do what you can,
to
don't
do
strive for
more.
Wait, one at a time, one at a time. Yes, what?
That means
Then
we
Doreen.
should- That means we
That was
shouldn't
the moral,
strive
didn't
to
come out
do
right.
more.
No, it means you
When
shouldn't
said
strive.
that's
Look, I'm a rabbi and an English professor. I'm not a nuclear physicist. You see? That's the point. You've got to, you spend a large part of your life asking yourself, what am I good for? Okay? And hopefully you find your niche.
Rabbi.
Wait, first Doreen,
Well, I
then
was just
Joel.
gonna say what Sherry said, so, same thing.
Okay, fine. So if the story encourages you to reach beyond, yes, Joel.
Well, he could have, the driver could have simply offered to the paupers, help me pull this thing out of the ditch. I'll
No,
give
you
you a
don't
really great
understand.
meal.
Well, ruin the whole
Listen,
story,
listen to me.
Joel.
You don't understand. There is no communication between the rich man and the Balagula.
Why?
Because it's Minsk or Pinsk in the 18th
But
century.
they were
All they could do was yell, and they didn't see each other. They're off in their own world. Similarly to how many human beings do that. They get into their own Dalit Amos. They get into their own space, and they do what they do, but they don't communicate their wants or desires to their fellow human being. Okay? See? I'm sorry, Joel. Okay, well, that was an odd accomplishment. not my most shining hour. I guess I won't be telling that one on Rosh Hashanah.
Not you, it's the story.
At least what I love about this show is I get immediate feedback. Yes, Jason, help me out.
I love the story because the story is saying, know yourself, be yourself. Don't be ashamed that you're poor and try to be rich. Don't be ashamed if you have no manual skills. I got no manual skills.
I have no manual skills.
I would.
Let's
if
go
I
into
had a
business.
cell
You're
phone, I would
Jewish.
be trying to help the guy out.
I'm sorry, what?
I couldn't help people who had broken something. I don't know how to fix anything. I wouldn't try to fix anything. I might call up a plumber or a lighting master.
Or else you just
Know
walk
yourself.
away.
Be
Yes.
The cold guy.
As we all know, what?
To be happy, you need to be yourself.
Wait, Roz, wait. Roz, I want to hear from you. Wait a minute, wait till this man is finished.
To be happy, you need to be yourself. We are all, as you see, we're all given our own individual neshama. That's who we are.
Yes.
Embrace it. Then you'll be better to be good with everybody else.
Wait,
You
first,
can't be good for everybody. You
Yes.
cannot be.
first
Maybe
Roz,
God.
then Sherry. Wait, I gotta do that AC. I'm
No,
dying
that's
here.
okay.
Okay, Sherry.
To answer Jason, so one person's mission helps children, one person's mission helps animals. I would say I'm that person. But what if I wanna go to law school like you? Then that might be my next mission.
And you'll either succeed or fail. It depends
But
on
that's
what is
fine.
preordained for your
I'm not saying
neshama.
don't try things,
I wanna be
but
like-
you have to,
You're saying it's
know
preordained.
Wait, shh,
yourself.
one at a time.
Yes,
What?
you do.
You have to know who you are, and if you go to law school and 6 weeks in you hate every second of it, don't be
You have to
ashamed
know
to
why
quit.
you-
Right, well, that makes sense.
And it's the same thing with this. The guy all dressed up in his beautiful clothes sees this in the mud, he's not gonna fix the wagon. He should go into the village and get people to help him. That would be his mitzvah, not try to drag the wagon out where he doesn't know what he's doing. That just makes it worse. Just like the other guy who made it worse for the poor people. They didn't get the meal from the synagogue, they got stuck with having 1/22 of a lousy sandwich.
Yes. Yes, Renee.
You said the neshama is your destiny. In other words, this is what's gonna be, no matter how hard you try or what you do.
You gotta understand, this is a Hasidic story, okay?
Oh, okay.
So for the Hasidim, everything is preordained. God knew exactly what color tie I was going to wear.
I tell you, that's not true all the time.
This is the, now let me
So
add
he's
the
telling
other
you.
2/3, okay? The other 2/3 are, you could say God knows everything, okay? But you have free will, that's part 2.
Yeah.
And the third part is you also have fate or destiny, okay? So which one you wanna go with?
If you believe in that.
Well, what do you
that
believe
there's-
in?
I think I believe, I'm not sure.
Ah, that's why you're here.
That's
Yes,
true.
yes,
That
good.
is
Wait,
true.
Liz and then Roz.
No, I just thinking to myself, I've always known why I was here.
Okay. Why'd you become a nurse?
To meet a doctor.
Because I always felt the lack of a formal education, and when you go to college when you're in your 60s, you have to know where you're marketable. If you're a nurse, you
Okay.
can breathe.
Okay,
You're marketable,
all right.
but that's
Okay.
a different thing.
Thank you. Roz and then Doreen.
I just don't think at a time of an unexpected occurrence, we stop to think of the right thing to do.
Okay.
An impulsive reaction
Mhm.
to a sudden thing that happens, I don't think we stop and think, now this man has overturned his thing. Should I help him or because I'm rich? We don't stop to think.
Yes, well, that is what the Romantic poet Wordsworth said.
Yes.
Poetry is strong emotion recalled at leisure. When you're in the thing, you're not thinking about consequences.
Exactly, right.
You want to get through, you want to do the best job you can, you want to
Wow.
succeed. And afterwards, when you get to a certain age, you can look back and say, now I understand how I got to this point in my
Now I
life.
wonder how the hell I did it.
Yes, that's a very rabbinical
That's the
response.
other side of the coin.
Yes, Toby?
What Roz just said is the other side of the coin.
Which is what?
Was she's saying, she's not wondering how she got there, she's saying, I got here, but why?
That's fine. That's the God part. And you could believe in God or not believe in God. You could say fate or destiny. Back in the 18th century with the Age of Enlightenment, they said it was reason. And nature ruled the universe. A faceless, uncaring, uninvolved nature. Okay? And human beings had everything, and reason would work everything out. And since that time, we've had World War I, World War II, a whole bunch of
reason.
wars.
Korean.
Okay, yes.
Just
Yes.
a question in
Yes.
general. If somebody said to you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Does everybody know?
No.
So what you're saying is you really have no answer to what you're saying. You don't know what you want to be until you get there and say, let me try that. So if you don't try things, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
So, like, just what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yes.
Who knows?
Well, when I was 5 years old, we moved into the co-op apartments on the Lower East Side, and we were just 2 blocks up from the main depot of all the garbage trucks in New York City. And that was the year that all the garbage trucks, with all of their smell and stink, were painted yellow. And I loved the yellow. And I announced to my mother, I'm going to be a garbage man. And she said, that's fine, you're 5 years old. And the next year,
Clean up the room.
right, I never did that.
Styles.
Right. The next year, they painted all the trucks white. I was finished. I was done. Okay. Thank you so much. You see, this worked out interestingly. Okay.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent.
All right. And I certainly hope that all of you come to some God vision or lack of God vision, because it's very Jewish. Because when you come here, I don't claim to have all the answers. It's the questions that we try to solve together. Okay? All right. I have a...
Sounds like a plan.
Yes. All right. Let's light the
So,
candles.
Doreen,
and
what
I'm
do you
going
want to
to
be when
ask
you
our
grow up?
president.
Sit there.
That's right. Yeah, I always
All right,
wondered about
ladies, if you'll
I
just
wanted to be a jockey.
go in this direction.
that. You're all right.
Okay, thanks.
I wanted to be older.
You want to be older?
Now, what do you think?
Actually, I still want to be older.
I wish I had gone to like research.
To what?
Research.
Research.
I love figuring things out.
Still haven't found it.
Wait, we'll do it together.
It's the first time here.
Life has been
Wait, we'll talk to you about joining the shul. Yes. Okay.
made in his workers' comp. Be careful.
Oh, no, we're gonna wait. Oh, that's that. But we can go home
Oh,
now.
you don't have another math.
Hey, it's workers' comp. Be careful.
Isn't that great?
Love me anyway. I did it.
They come with
Use the
directions. Okay, we're waving. We're covering. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzimanu, le'adlik ne'er shel Shabbat. Amen. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, b'mitzvotav. V'tzivanu, v'tzivanu, lehadlik ner. V'tzivanu, v'tzivanu, lehadlik ner. V'tzivanu, v'tzivanu, lehadlik ner. Shel Shabbat. Amen. Shabbos. Shabbos. Tell me your first name. Richard Soffer.
Good, I was too. Good shot.
Oh, fabulous.
Yes.
What do they say? Okay.
Shabbos says, look at.
Oh,
What it says right
No, I meant.
there? Do you want to see? Do you want to? Oh, Chapman. This tells you who's here as they walk by. Stuart Pepper or Chapman. How interesting.
All right.
to be a jockey.
It tells you to want to tag you.
Enough nice.
Yes.
Okay, the only one of the songs that the cantor does that I know is
Yeah, that's
Shabbat,
just
Shabbat,
it
Shabbat,
saw you when it
Shabbat,
goes you here.
Okay, I think I can teach this one to you, okay? It's all right, just go on about your business. It's great, it's like doing Shabbat in a subway car. Here we go. All right, okay, the first line goes like this. Shabbos, 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 Shabbos. Let's try that. Shabbos, 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 Shabbos. Allah Yidin Shabbos. Together. Allah Yidin Shabbos. The next two words are Shabbos Kodesh, which means Holy Sabbath. Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh. Very good, let's do that again. Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbos Kodesh. Now the next is the Yiddish for Shabbos in the entire world. Shabbos in die ganze Welt. Together. Shabbos in die ganze Welt. See, the cantor changes it a little bit because his Yiddish is from Argentina, but my Yiddish is from a different neighborhood. Okay, let's try that. And I really practiced all afternoon, but I don't think I can bang the way he does. All right, I can bang, but I have no coordination. Together. Shabbos, 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 Shabbos. Allah Yidin Shabbos. Shabbos, 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 Kodesh. Shabbos in the ganze Welt. Let's try one more time. Shabbos, 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 Shabbos. Allah Yidin Shabbos. Shabbos, Kodesh, Shabbos, Kodesh. Shabbos in the ganze Welt. Very good. See, he changes the Shabbos Kodesh line a little bit.
We wouldn't know.
Well, I know.
Muy bien.
Yes, muy bien. Muy bien. That's it. Where in Texas is he?
I think he's in Austin.
Oh, Austin.
Austin.
Austin is
He's
wonderful.
doing
Nice
a wedding,
city.
he's performing a wedding.
Oh, lovely. Very
It's a
nice.
capital.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. And they have a university there.
Yes, they do.
Yes,
It's a
UT
great
Austin.
They have a governor, they have everything.
Yes, I know. I
Running
know this
water.
rabbi.
Paul say running water.
Yes, it's wonderful. Also,
Toilets,
and
everything.
you can go out there and rent a cayuse.
Oh.
Cayuse. That's. I looked it up. It's a horse. They don't say anymore. It's a sort of a semi-wild horse.
You want a wild one?
I don't want a
Take
horse.
one?
No, I have ridden horses. I went to the Catskills, and I went to the Pineview Hotel.
Oh, I was there.
Oh, I didn't see you. The Pineview Hotel. Oliver Sholom, let her rest in peace. And there was this girl I wanted to impress, and it's not easy to impress Jewish girls. So I said, what are you doing today? Her name was Judy. So what are you doing today? She was from Brooklyn also. Except I never dated her again because she lived in a double fare zone. You know a double fare zone? You have to put in a token going in and coming out. That was 30 cents. That was.
She lived in Rockaway, probably.
I don't know. No, Sheepshead Bay. Sheepshead Bay.
Same
Yes.
thing.
All right. So I get a horse, and the horse's name is Chico, and I figured this is it. We're going to be
It's a
great
little
friends.
horse if his name was Chico.
I don't know. Is that what it means?
Chico is small.
Oh, I don't know. Okay. So I get on the horse, which was an accomplishment in and of itself. And I'm sort of riding along with Judy, meaning she's way up there and I'm way back here. I was like the tail of the kite. And my thought was, based on my extensive horsemanship, if you can get the head of the horse to go a certain way, the rest of the horse will follow.
You're so smart, Rabbi.
Yes. This is not, my Neshama was not destined to ride a
When he
horse.
grows up.
So I did get
Did you
his.
teach at a university?
I don't teach equestrian. Yeah, right. Okay, so I get the horse's head all the way to the left, but the rest of him keeps going the way he wants. Because his thought was, I'm thinking go this way, and he's thinking I'm not going this way. I'm going to walk under the tree with the low-hanging branches. I'm going to knock you off, and then I'll go back to the stable and have a little sticky snack. So that was my experience with horses. Oh, that was because of
We
horses.
say on here.
Okay. Oh, I'll tell you one more quick story. I was friends with the Reform rabbi in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and he and his husband moved to Austin because it's very gay friendly. And, well, among other things. This man, before I met him, had been a lawyer. Then he became a rabbi. And then, when they moved to Austin, he went to nursing school and became a nurse because his husband was a nurse. He was a brilliant guy. And so we went out for sandwiches. And if I go out for a sandwich in a treif place, I don't wear a yarmulke. And he wore his yarmulke everywhere. So I had the tuna fish salad without a yarmulke, and he had the shrimp salad with a yarmulke. It was really quite a thing. It was Lev, and he changed his name. Okay, all right. So let's do the Sholom Aleichem on page 13. The Sholom Aleichem, or with this man? Oh, with the rabbi.
Yeah.
He wasn't a man, he was a rabbi.
He became a rabbi, he
Yes.
became a lawyer. Why didn't he become a doctor? Why a nurse?
That is a very good question. Because I guess he wanted to be in the same profession as his husband. which
Probably
really
it was
very true.
marketability.
Is that it? I don't know.
Nurses, right.
Yes, maybe.
It's the truth.
Yeah, you're right, he graduated
They
later
were
in life.
offering me jobs when I said, I'm 83 years old, do you really want me to come and work for you?
Oh, well, that doesn't seem
That's when I
calculated to
stopped
get
getting
a
offers.
positive response. Okay. All right, page 13. Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem, Hashoret, Aleichem, Elyon, Milech, Malchei, Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem l'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Milech, Malchei, Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch l'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzechem l'Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 14, we'll do Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh, Avarachaman, Avdach Eretz Onach, Yarutz Avdach Kimo Ayal, Ishtachaveh Emu Hadarach, Yeravo Yedidutach, Minofet Tzuv V'chol Tam. In the English, so may loving God, compassion, gentle source, take my disposition and shape it to your will. Like a darting deer, will I rush to you, before your glorious presence, humbly will I bow. Let your sweet love delight me with its thrill, because no other dainty will my hunger still. Lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 yalla, lie, 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 lie. Page 21, Rosh Hashanah. Chadodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela Chadodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela Likrat Shabbat Lechuvenecha Ki Mekor HaBracha Perosh Miketem Mitzucha So Maaser Machshava Tefila Lechadodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lechadodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nikabela. Please rise, face the door, which the Sabbath Queen will enter. Boi v'shalom, ateret b'hala, gam v'simcha, u'v'tzala, toch emunei, am zilula, boi hala, boi hala, lechadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela, lechadodi, likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Okay, the Baruch Hu, page 28. Let's see, Richard Stewart, would you honor us by opening the Ark? Okay. And we'll bow towards the Ark.
No,
And you have to fold it over. Yes, yeah. Oh, we have
back.
the curtains
Curtains are
back.
back.
Yay!
Yay!
Curtains back. Wait, what happened? Where's the pulley thing?
No pulley.
Oh.
You got the curtains, you want everything?
I'm glad we have the curtain.
We have the curtain.
We bow towards the Ark. Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Amen. Okay, we close the doors stay open, the curtain closes. It's really nice. That's called a parochet, by the way.
What is the curtain?
Thank you, sir. Which means a separation. Okay. All right, you may be seated. And there was a full moon. Was there a full moon this past week?
That could be.
Yes.
Our behavior might say so.
All right. Yes, well, that's what I like. I always get a straight answer when I come here. Okay.
Ask a straight question.
Yes, what I was going to. Let's do the reading at the bottom of 28 on the right-hand side, below the line. We'll read this together.
Beloved.
Beloved are you, eternal God, by whose design the evening falls, by whose command dimensions open up, and eons pass away, and stars spin in their orbits. You set the rhythms of day and night. The alternation of light and darkness sings your creating word. In rising sun and in spreading dusk, Creator of all, you are made manifest, eternal, everlasting God. May we always be aware of your dominion. Beloved are you, Adonai, for this hour of nightfall. Baruch atah Adonai, Amari v'Arahim. Amen. That last blessing we just did, Hamari v'Aravim, literally means who evens the evening, who makes the eveningness of the evening manifest. Okay? Because it's got the same root. Ma'ariv, Aleph, Resh, Vet, and again, Ayin, Resh, Vet. All right? On page 30, we cover the eyes. Why do I have this echo thing going? Is that cool?
Don't look at me.
I just turned it on.
Oh, it's all right. Stu, you do great, really. All right, let's cover our eyes for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Uncover the eyes. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Le'olam Moed. You shall love, together, you shall love Adonai your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Recite them at home and away, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes, above your gates, upon your gates. All right. Mi Chamocha on page 32. Mi Chamocha b'Elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedorah Kodesh, Norah Boker Yam Lifnei Moshe, Tzeli Anu V'Yamru, that's fine. Adonai Yimloch V'Olam Voed, V'Nemar Kifat Adonai et Yaakov, V'Yolo Yad Chazak Mimenu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Goal Yisrael. Amen. All right, 33, the top left, we have the prayer for those who are not well. Thinking about our dear friend Stuart Epstein. Laura Durrett, we're not going around, we're just gonna call out names. Sense of order here. I've lost control of the show. Yes, anybody? Yes, thank you. Refuah Shalema. Renee?
Yes, Laura.
Oh, God, here goes Paul.
Refuah Shalema. Yes.
Anybody else? Rosalie?
Rosalie. Refuah
No,
Shalema.
Rosalie.
Not Rosalie?
Okay,
Yes,
she's
Rosalie.
fine, okay.
She's
Nancy
fine.
Austin,
Refuah Shalema.
Yes.
Todd Austin,
Refuah Shalema.
Lauren Maurer,
Refuah Shalema.
Lisa Shapiro.
Refuah Shalema. Thank you. You know what it is? This thing needs a new battery. Okay.
Oh, God, is it another battery issue?
Busy night for you. Friend
You
Stuart
know, I'm
Pepper.
getting overtime for all this, too.
Without that whom, oh, look, there are little silver things. Okay, I'm sorry, let's continue. Joel, anybody?
No.
Okay, thank God, yes. Paul?
Oh, yes. Russell Schottker, Bart
Refuah Shalema.
Reynolds,
Refuah Shalema.
Bart Dozer, Morty Fogel,
Refuah
David
Shalema.
Weinreb, Joel Schenkman,
Refuah Shalema.
Irv McCreary,
Refuah
Wayne
Shalema.
Croy. Do we say Rhoda Silverman?
No,
Oh.
She's fine now.
it's not with
Left a
Rhoda.
message.
Thank you. You're
She's
wonderful.
better now.
She's better.
She's better?
She broke her
Well, we
shoulder.
wanted to
Oh,
get-
yes.
We're not questioning you.
Okay, I
Go ahead,
did.
do it.
Now we're arguing as to whether a person
Sorry,
needs
there's a
refuah
thank you.
Shalema.
That came up with your
Yes,
thing.
Roz, back. Yes. Refuah Shalema. Yes, yes.
Jerry and Marlene Rader.
I'm sorry, what?
Jerry and Marlene Rader.
Refuah Shalema. Yes, Jason.
Michelle J. Gomez,
Refuah Shalema.
Jerry D'Ambrosio,
Refuah Shalema.
Michelle Martin.
I don't know.
Refuah Shalema. Yes. Liz, anybody?
We have to
Okay.
ask.
Doreen? Okay.
How's Leonard?
Pearl Katz,
Refuah Shalema.
Lisa Grossman,
Refuah Shalema.
and Marcia Goodhart.
Refuah Shalema. James Basmajian. Refuah Shalema. Yes.
See, he beat you to See, you, while you were away,
We'll do Solomon Vaz Diaz.
Refuah Shalema.
Oh, yes.
What's wrong with him?
Refuah Shalema.
Kenny Mahadeo,
Refuah Shalema.
Enrico Mascaro.
Refuah Shalema.
Let's get it fit.
Richard?
He's okay.
Thank God, thank God. Hi, Gavalti. All right.
They may argue with you.
Everybody should be well.
I mean, he's new, so you can't be sure.
It's like that scene in Spamalot, you know, at the beginning. He's not dead yet. Okay. It's a song, they do a song. Okay, let's do the top left. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, of all his people Israel, over Jerusalem and the entire world. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukkot shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam kulo. Amen. All right. The thing is, we're running a little late, and I apologize for my part in causing that. I was wondering if we could just kind of jump over the Vishamru and do the half Kaddish?
Let's do that.
Okay,
Sounds
all
good
right.
to me.
Nobody is disagreeing with me, so
No,
I'm
no.
definitely picking up a vibe here.
You win.
Okay, please rise. Ikadal v'ikash me'ravah, Yalmad yivrach nirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon yomechon v'chayechon beit Yisrael v'agala v'agala u'vizman karim v'yeru amen yesh me'rava mevorach v'yolem yolem maya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach yitpoar v'trumam v'yitnaseh yitadar yit'aleh yit'alal shemei kudushat brichu li'elah bin kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata tamiran b'yama b'meru amen. All right, the Amidah, 35b to 38, after which you may be seated.
That was a heavy stuff.
All right, we'll do the full Kaddish on page 48, and afterwards we'll do the Kiddush. Kaddish and the Kiddush. It Gadal V'Kadash Shem Me'Rabah Yalmad Yivrach Yirutei V'Yamlech Machutei V'chayechon V'mechon V'chayerecho Beit Yisrael Agallah Zman Kariv Yimru Amen Eish Me'Rabah Mevorach Yolam Yolem Maya Yitbarach V'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'trumam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shmei kudusha brichu v'elam min kavachata v'shirata tushbchata v'nechmata damiran v'yama v'yimru amen kabal tzlo tonu v'uton v'chayis rabdam uvundi v'shmaya v'yimru amen v'heish lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'alchayis rabdam v'yimru amen v'hoseh shalom v'imromav Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael Imru, Amen Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom Shalom Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom Shalom Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael. B'Imru Amen. All right, the Kiddush Macharot will distribute the potables. The odd assortment of
There's
liquids.
wine coming if you'd like wine.
Thank you. I have the real thing.
Like the fake stuff.
This is a real thing.
Raz wine?
You got the real?
No.
That's the way.
This is Jews. Rita did it tonight, yeah. Wine?
Look at this.
Preparing you for her,
home, with some wine.
They said you were very generous tonight, Rita.
Yeah.
You know what the juice?
Juice. Wine.
Thank you.
Coming to a windfall?
Okay, good.
Cigars, cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
An extra or tapioca?
All right, page 49.
Take one for each.
Baruch Adonai
Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Baruch Adonai
Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu,
Shabbat Kodsho B'Yava Uvratzon Chilanu Zikaron L'Naseh Bereshit Yom Tefillah L'Mikra'ei Kodesh Sefer L'Tzion Mitzrayim Kiganu V'Charta Yotanu Kidashta B'Kol Avim Shabbat Baruch atah Adonai v'kadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen. L'chaim, l'shalom, ha-simplus.
And all that.
All right. Gulp. Okay, that's, what kind of iced tea is that?
Juice.
Oh, it's juice. Ah. All right.
No, it's not. We ran out.
Okay.
I took it.
Okay, the Aleinu on page 51, if Jason O will honor us. The Aleinu was allegedly written by Joshua before the Israelites crossed over the Jordan and conquered the Promised Land. That may or may not be true. We know for a fact that it was a great hit back in the Middle Ages when Jews were being burned at the stake. It would be the last hymn they would sing. Okay.
Is that really?
Yes, yes, really. Yes. Yeah.
Aleinu l'shabei avadon hakol, b'tei gidula lioseh breshit, shalom asanu k'nuyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'nishorot ha'adama, shalom sam elkeinu kahem, v'gol aleinu k'chol hamona, אנחנו קוראים משחרים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ ומושל מקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינת תוזו ושכינת תוזו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו אפס חכנו, אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום השמות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, והארץ melech hakol ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
All right. If you're not saying Kaddish, you may be seated. Otherwise, we're on page 52. Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Amen. Yalmad yivrach yurtei v'yamlich machutei. B'chayei chon v'nei chon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. B'agala u'b'zman kariv yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach v'yolam u'me'al maya. Yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran b'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen. All right, please be seated. At this time, we're going to hear some wonderful announcements by our wonderful president.
Good Shabbos, everyone, and welcome, Richard. Lovely to have you with us. I don't know about you, but I learn something from Rabbi every time he speaks, and it gives me something to think about when I go home during the week. And we are very blessed here to have Rabbi David Mark with us. He's not only a scholar, he's a funny scholar too. And he lets us worship as free Jewish men and women in the way that we feel in our particular traditions that we have, while maintaining a connection to traditional Judaism. Even if it seems untraditional, it's based on tradition, and that carries us through. I'm going to you can look at the bulletin to get all our schedules. Don't miss, in July coming up, 3 Thursday evenings in July, Dr. Murray Lichtenstein is going to do his talk on the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's going to be remarkable. I don't want to go through everything here, but you'll see something on the front of the bulletin that's very important to us. We're one of the few shuls that still has the blessing of morning minyan. We have it on Monday morning at 8:45 and Thursday morning at 8:45. This Monday the temple is closed, so it won't be this Monday. But Monday and Thursday usually. We do need your support in these summer months when half of our congregation has gone up north. If you can make it for morning minyan, we want to maintain that tradition for our beautiful synagogue and for our beloved Jewishness all the time. Tomorrow is our more traditional service. We are going to be holding it in this chapel.
Cool.
So we're going to have a more intimate, cozy service, and we've done that throughout the years when I first came here, and in the summer when there are not too many people here, it makes for a more a richer feeling instead of us being spread out all over the place. I do have to say something happy to you. It might not sound happy, but it is happy. Very soon, before the end of June, comes our membership renewal time. So we're preparing our membership packages now. I know that it can be a struggle to come up with membership fees. I do understand that, but the temple doesn't survive without them. And we will work out any kind of plans that you might need, but we need your support. So you can check in the office. If you need to bring your present account up to date and closed out, July 1st we begin new membership. I hope you'll be happy when you get that envelope, especially in these times, which are precarious for the American Jewish community. What can we do that's better than to be part of a Jewish community and a Jewish synagogue, and especially a warm and welcoming one like ours? It's very, very important for us to be proud of, to maintain, and to keep our Jewish life going. So please, when you get it, the envelope, think of me, but think of me in a happy way. I'll be thinking of you in a happy way when they get mailed out. Tomorrow, after our service, comes Rabbi's class, and tomorrow it will be on...
I think we're going to get back to Hasidism. We haven't touched upon that for a while. It's practice mixed with belief. And as we discovered tonight, we have a very unusual, it's not unusual, a very strange variety of beliefs in the congregation.
Right. Rabbi's classes, you already know, if you've been there, that they're remarkable. If you haven't been there, it's really a treat. So I wish you a sweet Shabbos, a peaceful Shabbos.
Everybody say hi to Laura. She's watching.
Hi,
Hi,
Laura.
Laura.
Hi. Mwah.
Feel good.
Okay. Thank you, Rita, for your kind words. We're going to finish up. We haven't used this tune for the Adonom for a while, and it's one that's familiar with all of us. It's Schiller's Song of Joy at the end of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. A number of years ago, I found this novel in which Beethoven meets Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav. Now, that's a bit of a reach, okay? But we do know he was Philo-Semitic, he was friendly with Jewish composers, and so it's certainly worth using. Adon Olam Asher Molach B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ez Nasa V'Chefzo Kol Asai Melech Shemo Nivra V'Acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Hu Haya V'Hu Hoveh Hu echad v'en sheni lehamshilo lehachbira V'li reshit v'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra Hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzur chevli v'yetzara Hu nisi v'manos li V'nat kosi b'yom ekra B'yado av kidruthi B'yeti sham b'ya'ira Big finish B'ruchi geviati Adonai li v'Elohim. Very nice. Please rise. Closing benediction. Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. The Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. We'll say Amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Nice to meet you, Richard. You've got the bulletin. That's the contact information there somewhere. Very good. Okay. Oh, good. Oh, all right. Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. Good Shabbos.